Yeah, so here we go again. The day is Thursday, I believe. Yes, it is. Thursday the 20th. Time is 5 to 7 in the PM. I left my place shortly after 1 in the PM to go give feedback, which for me was a favour. For them it was professional. Which means I actually got invited for tea. Pleasantly, pleasant surprise. Which does mean I didn't choose the tea I initially wanted for the first one. I stuck around and had that one after, just because of the more expensive one. And when one's invited, one don't want to get the more expensive tea. So, yay. After I did do some work, even some work for my thesis, though not actual work on the thesis. I did some infrastructure work. Programming. I mean, it's visual programming, but so it feels like cheating calling it programming, but it is in fact programming. A shortcut, which is Apple's macros system, where you can have macros on Apple devices. And I programmed one so I can easily find citations, copy the text out of them, run this macro, the shortcut, and then have a full-on ready citation as far as one can in general say. So URL accessed when, what I'm meaning to say. Yeah, it's just to make my life a lot easier, because this way I'll actually be able to do research phase and writing phase, which means I'll write something, not bother with citations, assuming I can find citations. Otherwise I'll have to find citations first and then write. But the order of these two operations is of no matter whatsoever, I guess. And it'll automatically be saved to a text file on the cloud, which means I then can just have that open on the Pooter while writing, or while adding the citations into the text I've already written, and make my life easier that way, I guess. That's something I'm very much so looking forward to. It took me surprisingly long to find out how to open the text file, prepend some text blocks I want, specific ones, and then save the text file again, so it is the same file name with the text one want to prepend it. Because with shortcuts, Apple's macros app, there is an action called append, which you can also prepend with, but apparently that does not work for external text files. I'm not sure, but I couldn't get it to work. So I had to I had to, for once, say, I would like to open the text file, get the contents, prepend this, and then save a new text file with the contents of the previous one and the new prepension. Doesn't feel right, but I guess that's what the term is. Prependation, whatever. And save that with the same text file and overwrite the previous text file, which is unnecessarily complicated, assuming there is a prepend action that should work, but fair enough, I guess, So that's going to be most of the work I'll be doing for the day, just because I'm pretty drained. I guess the first bit, which was a favour for me, is, for my part, I did a favour, is my contribution to bettering this institution, or one could argue all of humankind, but I think that's a bit far of a reach, a bit far of a stretch, But I actually quite liked the talk. I mean, it was pleasant for me. Obviously, they weren't incentivized to have it not be unpleasant for me, because it was just a favour I was doing them. But it's not all too altruistic a favour, because it's going to make life easier for the next person to come along, Next disabled autistic person is not going to have to worry half as much about their rights as I am, assuming they manage to actually follow through on the feedback I've given, which is worth it in my book. If everyone do it, no one have to. Guess is the mindset. So I'm happy to have spent the day with that. Well, the day's energy anyways. The writing a macro, writing a shortcut. Well, writing, drag and dropping and editing. That's something I quite like. I mean, I don't have many regular reasons to be doing it, but whenever I do, I like doing it, very much so. I like doing it very much so. But the last time I'd actually done it was migrating away from Toolbox Pro due to Alexander Hay, the developer of Toolbox Pro, demise. May rest in peace, you know. But that was the last time I spent some time on shortcuts, and that was making global variables, so variables that stick around even when you aren't running the program, using Apple Reminders app. Figured that out in half a day and got it sorted. Today I did a couple of hours, I guess, an hour and a half. And the real only thing I've ever spent more than a day on was my macro for my cigarette button, which is just a button I have on my home screen. I can push when I have a cigarette, when I've driven the car smoking and arrived somewhere, and then input how many cigarettes I've had, when I've had showers or coffees, just for keeping a database, which for me, I guess, serves as mental health state indicator. It shows me how I'm doing mentally. Showering too infrequently, I'm not doing too great, which in the recent past haven't been too great. Smoking too much or too little, in the way of past history and current aspirations, is another one. Sorry, the camera might beep in a moment, but I'm not unplugging it. Watch yesterday's session for why. And I need to wind up the window because I suspect behind me a lorry is going to be coming through shortly. So, yay. The one that just come through a moment ago. Turning around and coming back. Then again, I don't know. They might back into the yard. Never know. Oh, there we go. Camera. Weather today is partial cloud coverage. Rather pleasant. A bit too much sun for my liking. It's rather warm and the camera's going to make its noise again because I'm turning on the ignition. It's 24.5 degrees centigrade. Feel fairly humid. Could be worse, I guess, you know. I still have yet to contact the Office for Student Loans / Grants, BAföG Amt. I may try and do so tomorrow because I know their phone hours to not cover then, but they haven't put that notice anywhere officially, which means I'll just try and phone and see whom I get through to, because I'd actually rather not have the person who do my case, just because last time they were really unprofessional at the phone, is I guess the socialist way of putting it, the least asocial way of putting it, you know. I don't like being screamed at for a fact. Funny how that worked, you know. And they'll already come back again. Yeah, in fact, I don't quite like being screamed at. So, I'd rather have someone else to talk to. And I guess if I phone outside of the person whom is responsible for me's office hours or phone hours, I may get someone else whom might not scream at me, you know. It's worth an attempt, I guess. Problem is I actually got to follow through on it, and that's just because I really don't like working with officials, I guess, or interacting with officials, just because whatever you do, you'll have done something wrong. Welcome to the country of bureaucracy, this is. Haha. In general, I don't like interactions which presumably also makes them qualitatively less aspirational, less worth aspiring. Just because if I don't like doing them, I'm not going to do as good a job doing them, you know. So, yay. But I really got to follow through on that because, I mean, I put a letter in their mailbox in person. And I'll need the money because I can't have afforded to spend money on doing an internship. The way it currently is, it's looking like I'll have spent $30 a month for doing my internship. And that is added on to not having any time to save money on the side, you know, by not spending it. Ordering in lunch was quite a frequent occurrence, which means it actually probably cost me more than $30, considering I didn't have remotely the time to do lunch. Not that I do it much anyways, but when working, you really need a lunch, you know, when working a full-time job. That's just slightly concerning. I can't have afforded to have sponsored an internship. It's not within my budget, within my means. I really hope they do follow up on my letter I sent them approaching 3 months ago. Fucking hell. It's approaching a quarter year. Their official working time for things is 6 to 8 weeks. Quarter year is double, well, 1.5 times of their maximum extreme, double their minimum extreme. Which means it's between 1.5 to 2 times as much time as they should be taking to work things. So on average, it's 1 3/4 of the time they should be taking to work things. That's not very good. And the joke is the burden's on me, because I want money, because they didn't give me the money because they thought I was earning money. They hadn't considered I had to get to my internship, and that I did not live at my internship, that they had my rent contract and my internship contract. I mean, surprise, I cannot teleport to a place of internship. Who'd funk? I like terms like funk. I'm really knackered, though I didn't do much today. Parking near the T-joint cost me probably more than a tenner, just because I was there so long today. And I spent an additional tenner on a tea and some cake. Which means today I'm out another 20 some bucks. Not good. More than I should be spending in a day. Then again, it could be worse. At least I haven't had to buy cigarettes today. I have smoked quite a few. I've probably smoked 7 or 8 today already. I'll try and keep it below 15 for now, or in the low 10s. Is I guess the right term. Low teens. I think I'll be happy if I manage that. The one thing I'm still split about trying to reduce my tobacco smoking behaviour is it does fuck with my mental indicator of how much did I smoke, how am I doing. In the past, if I only smoked 7 in a day, I could with confidence say I was not doing well, because if I'm only smoking 7 cigarettes, that means I am not present enough. Now I can no longer say that, or at least not as easily. It's harder to use as indicator. That's something I'm somewhat split about. I've considered introducing other indicators, but I wouldn't want the work of having to change my database or adapt it, which is change, surprise. Same as modifying it, by the way. It's kind of funny how that works, you know. I don't want to be losing my indicators, but the reason I introduced the indicator in the first place was not for indicator of mental state of mind, because at the time I was not aware this was reflective. It only became something I was aware of because I had it. Initially, it was because I acknowledged that one day I would want to quit. Admittedly, the day of completely willing to quit have not come, but I am looking to substitute tobacco through something else, so I guess I am trying to quit tobacco smoking. Then again, I don't know how I feel about it, because I really need the indicator for my mental state of health. Today I actually awoke multiple counts. The first was before my first alarm, which is suboptimal. It was like 5:30 in the AM. First alarm, flat lights go bright at like 6ish in the AM, I believe. And then I have oral and haptic alarms. Haptic here, oral, phone, and here. Then from 5:30 to 9:30ish, I actually spent near lucid dreaming and lucid dreaming. Not to the point where I remember what I dreamt about, but I felt somewhat in control and I was aware I was sleeping and dreaming. And that's actually a fun pastime, I guess. Might not be healthy because it might lead to too much sleep, but I have a hard time getting my ass going in the morning, you know. And that's even though I went to bed reasonably early yesterday, like before midnight. So I went to bed yesterday, not today. Then again, I usually take 2 to 3 hours to fall asleep. So perhaps aspiring to get up at 6ish, 7ish in the AM might be a bit early if I want to get a healthy amount of sleep and I'm taking 2 to 3 hours to fall asleep, going to bed shortly before midnight. Either I'll have to change to going to bed while it's still bright out in the summer, I'll have to find some other way. During my internship, I slept pretty quickly once I went to bed. I guess that might just be what I need. Exhaustion, physical exhaustion, to help me sleep. I'm sure that helped. It's funny with the lucid or near lucid dream state. I recall being in that state, but I do not recall what I was dreaming about. I just remember the concept. I didn't remember what I dreamt about once I woke up. I just remembered I was lucid or near lucid dreaming. And I actually had to look up the term to be on the safe side about using the term, because I was not familiar enough with it. Which is why I'm saying lucid and or near lucid dreaming, because I believe it was both, or mixture of both. And betcha there was a few instances where it was just near lucid and never became lucid, and then there was a few which remained lucid for rather long. That's something I reckon I'll look further into exploring in future, for recreational purposes, I guess. Just because it do give one a lot of creativity, though I might not be able to remember it once I wake up. Might have to find a way of documenting near a sleep state, so having just awoken or going to sleep again. But that's a future Ben problem. That's not my problem right now. Though it is in the self-improvement category, which is something I try and do permanently, I guess. I'm not bothered enough about learning to proper lucid dream for now. Intentionally lucid dream. That's something I'll have to learn eventually, Well, I won't have to, but I'll wanna. Just because it's quite fun being able to fuck around, limited by but your mind. There we go, clean the screen, might as well. Fucking around, limited but by your mind. Let me do a thumbnail, there we go. That's a thumbnail, hopefully. That's another. The tea shop owner is of the opinion that believe something and know something are mutually exclusive. I myself have started to think about it in the past, and I'm now thinking about it again, though I shouldn't be, because I should be working on my thesis, in my mind at least. I'm not so sure believing and knowing are mutually exclusive. In many contexts they may be, but I'm not 100%. I believe they may be, I don't know. But if I knew, I'd still believe it. So, nah. That's something I'll have to figure out eventually. Just for the sake of my mind. Funny how that works, Tomorrow I think I'll try and go by my former place of internship. I might even try to take along the Praktikabel right away. In which case I would not have to show up there again before leaving the land. By the way, in case you're wondering why I'm saying land instead of state, as to refer to a German state, land and Länder is what the European Union used to translate it into European English. So land it is for the German states. In normal English, I'd just say I'm leaving the state. Oh no. Please don't burglarise me. I don't think I've doxed myself, but some of you know where I live. Please don't burglarise me. Thank you very much. I have a camera at home. Just FYI. Here I go, not quite doxing myself, but inviting people to find the spots where I may have. I believe I haven't. That's the magical thing, One thing I am meaning to do before I hit the road, which I may do tomorrow at my former place of internship because it's the right kind of place to be doing it, is install my mic for hands-free driving and phoning. Not because I aspire to spend a lot of time while driving on the phone, but because the Autobahn is the place where one appears to be the most likely to have to call the plod. in case of accidents or so. So this is the mic, and I ought to install it. I have been wondering, even though these aren't made for clothes, they're just gaffers or set electrician's clamps to clamp things and to ground things optionally, which is why this bit is here. I've been thinking this mic, which is just a hands-free mic that came with the stereo, it's just a TS mic, tip sleeve, 3.5mm. I might mount it to here, and actually have it be upper pickable, so I can actually use what is supposedly a lavalier mic. I'm not sure, so I could use it as one, you know, because why not? What's the harm? I don't want to be making phoning while driving a habit, even if it's hands-free, just because I have done so in the past. Not made a habit, but tried it. And my driving qualitatively did suffer. Never know, you know. You know. So, something like this, and then just plug it in the stereo. And then I at least got something to call the plot if I have to. Not that one ever wanna, but I don't even need to be involved in an accident. I just need one in front of me to have to call the plod. You know, so that's something I've been thinking about, just in the case of being prepared. In the past, I could have used it, I guess, when a senior citizen who maybe perhaps should not have been driving a motor vehicle rammed my driver's side mirror. They then continued without their passenger side mirror, which I think is just totally brutal. And I continued with having mine poorly taped up, because luckily my glass had not gone amiss. The only thing that went amiss is part of the cover for it. I actually replaced that myself. Costs about $55 in parts and half an hour of my time, and I'd never done it before, so that's not too bad, you know. The only reason I'd agreed to let them go without giving me money or anything is because the plod said they'd take more than an hour to show up, and I had a long ways to drive ahead of me. I did not want to wait an hour plus for the plod to show up just to tell them they fucked up. It's not worth the money at that point, just because I will not be safe to continue the rest of the journey once I waited several hours, you know. Which is just not worth the sake of discussion. And realistically, I mean, they were born in the 60s. I know because we exchanged IDs just to cover my arse and cover their arse, I guess. They were over half a century of age at the time. Fuck, they were. Oh, that's crazy. And considering they hadn't learnt by then that you do not ram other cars, I don't think they'll have learnt by now. It's not like they intentionally rammed me, but they were in a lane restricted to 2.10 m wide vehicles. And their vehicle, according to the interwebs, including mirrors, is 2.16 m wide, which is greater than 2.10 m. Surprise, you know, some people don't know what greater or equal or less than is. They apparently did not know, but they also did not care. And I guess the call of the void in moments like that is, well, if I reacted and swerved just because they rammed me, they'd flip. I mean, that's a bad call of the void, and I wouldn't give in to it. I hope so, at least. But, you know, in that case, the plot would be there in 10 minutes. You wouldn't have to wait 1+ hours to get their judgment, to get money from insurance. It's just ridiculous, to the point where if they swiped me and I happened to ram them after, not that I would, I believe I'm a good enough driver to not do so, the plot would be there way quicker than if I stay in my lane and play it safe, which I do because I believe I'm a good enough driver to do so. Yeah, it's just ridiculous, you know. This is ridiculous. Why is there the gap between rich and poor? That's song lyrics most of the world do not know. It's from some of my dad's music. Parliament is the track's title. I believe it was done with Tax, Double X band. I'm not sure. I might have it somewhere. I might publish it on this YouTube sometime. Who knows? I don't think anyone would mind. I'd get the blessing of the other copyright holder beforehand. Well, and my sister, because she held half my dad's copyright together with me. And then I'd probably want to upload it sometime. Hell, I might use it for some projects sometime. It's good music. I like it. Even an EMI producer in the, I believe, 80s agreed it was good music. They just said, oh, we have enough of this stuff already at this time. Which is one of the most heartbreaking letters I've sent to this day. Actually signed by pen, not printed out, you know. That's really heartbreaking. Then again, had that not been, I would have not come to be in the way I was, which means I would have not come to be. Whether that's positive or negative, each can make their own judgment. I wouldn't mind the option, because if I went, I wouldn't mind. But the way I am, I would not be. Assuming I would be. Because odds are I would not be. Fucking with language is a fun thing. Yeah, I think this clamp will work for lav mic, for dashcam, not for dashcam, for hands-free stereo. And I already got a cut out in the compartment the stereo's in, so I might just do this now before I leave here. And then I'll have a mic ready to go. Then again, I won't have a reason to go to my former place of internship tomorrow. I could just go without a reason, and perhaps work some on my writing. Got to get around to it sometime, you know. You know. Though I haven't done too much objectively measured today, I am quite happy with what I've done for the day. Funny how that works. Hope you're happy with what you've done for the day too. Or you will be at the end of the day if this is not your end of the day. Stay safe, I'll see you around. Thank you very much for watching, by the way. Cheerio.